Well, well, well. The wheel does turn for us all, doesn't it? Have a look.
Be better allies, not DMing that woman's friends, trying to convince them all that she...
You know, I have 2 kids in middle school, and their beef with their friends is a hell of a lot less immature than this whole debacle. You guys are bullying these women. Not only that, you guys aren't the only people who are capable of taking screen caps. And ExPatriarch, there are a lot of screen caps where Eve was asking you for help to sort this situation out, or just like, hey, I'm getting mass reported and bullying. I really need your support. And you essentially washed your hands of the situation and said, well, it wasn't me. I'm not responsible. I'm not going to do anything and I don't care. Again, you're not the only people capable of taking screen caps. And it also invalidates all of us when we speak about things like feminism, because one of the biggest points that is made as backlash to us is that when you have a group that speaks about women, it becomes bitchy. They turn into bullies, they are catty, they are emotional, all of those things. So actually behaving like that gives weight to arguments that ultimately make our lives harder. This could have been a private conversation. This could have been a normal conversation between a bunch of grown-ups, as opposed to a very public spectacle, which has ultimately resulted in 2 women feeling unsafe within a community where one of our biggest priorities is making sure that women do feel safe.
Why don't these women feel safe? Because her information has been found online too. Just like my information was found online. Just like several other women who have come forward since I put my video response out to this individual have come forward and said that their information has been found online too. There's a pattern of behaviour here, which seems to be pathological. In my situation, he claimed that I had given him my personal information. It's an absolute lie, which I caught him on, and which I explained quite in depth on my video response after he said that I had platformed a dangerous terrorist, which was another lie. Here's that clip now.
Fanny has her own equally serious accusation to make against me, that I looked at her LinkedIn profile.
What I find interesting, Brent, is that you don't talk about how you tried to find my personal information online and how you actually did find my LinkedIn online for some reason, which I can only assume, and I might be wrong, that you were maybe going to use this against me in the future.
What Fanny doesn't tell you is who gave me her personal information, which would be Fanny herself when she linked me to a YouTube video about her research on borderline personality disorder.
Are you ready for me to catch you in yet another lie? Yes, I shared with you the borderline personality disorder web seminar that I put together. I don't actually remember doing that, to be fair, but whatever. But what I find baffling is that you say, oh, I then went and found her professional accreditation, when on that video itself, it quite clearly shows the institution I studied at the time, and my student number, the course number, when the thing was due, and my supervisor. How stupid would I be as someone going into the health field would I be to claim that I study at a professional institution, which then could be used against me in the future? There was no need to look me up on LinkedIn. No need at all, because all my information for that institution was there. My personal name was there. The institution I studied at was there. In previous videos, I've actually shown where I study, but I've hidden my information, all of my information, which includes my location, from those videos that I've put up. But now you have that information, and you know and are associated with people. I'm not going to name names, but there are other people who have made stitches of your video of me with coloured hair, who are involved with investigations for doxing people. And in fact, one of your commenters even called you on it. The commenter says here, this whole debacle makes me uncomfortable. She should have distanced herself from the cretins after that video. I don't agree with that terminology, but I did. I only did one podcast, not with the men I heard, but the people that split from the fracture. I haven't had anything to do with them since. I've been in contact with them since your video came out. And they're going to do a video as well, basically proving I have nothing to do with them. And then they also say, but also if you were conveniently seeking out her LinkedIn as leverage for an argument, that's a bit unscrupulous. To which you say, to be clear, they cited their research, sent me to that video which had their name and institution. Exactly. So why would you need to go and look at LinkedIn? Maybe it's worth de-escalating, getting a bit close to the bone. You're absolutely fucking right, it's getting close to the bone, and that's why I've taken legal advice. So my personal opinion of his modus operandi is that he's getting this personal information because of who he's associated with. And I know who he's associated with because of who he's done podcasts with, because of who he's been stitching videos of, because of who he comes to the defense of. Some of these individuals have been investigated or are currently being investigated by the FBI. These are big, heavy things that we are dealing with, and they are so heavy because they are so dangerous. These are dangerous individuals. He is not an advocate or an ally to the feminist movement. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Unfortunately, some of the women who have come forward to me have expressed that they have PTSD symptoms, and they have that because they can't even open this app anymore. They have to block him. They can't even look at his face or hear his voice without fear of something happening to them or to their family. And I can attest to that to at least some degree, because when he came for me, I was heavily pregnant at the time, and the stress of what he put me through and his followers and his associates coming to my page, leaving comment after comment, the mass reporting, the death threats, the comments on my body and on my children, that was enough to give me preeclampsia, which harmed the life of myself and my unborn baby. But he didn't stop there. In other videos that people put up in support of me, he's on their channel calling me a grape apologist. A grape apologist. Someone who was victimized at 13. He has no care for women, especially those who disagree with him. He has no care for the feminist movement. And what frustrates me outside of this as well is that he uses psychological literature to try and prove his point. But every single video he has done which uses psychological literature is completely and utterly erroneous. He is not trained in psychology, he doesn't understand the research methods involved, and he cannot read a psychological paper. Unfortunately, people still hold him up as an intellectual and still think that he is correct with what he is saying. He isn't. And there's also one other little nugget too. So I've heard whispers since this has happened to me along the line. You know, some people say that he has lurking accounts. That's not really a big deal. Other people say that he pretends to be women on some of these lurker accounts. I can't prove that, so I haven't posted about it, I haven't mentioned it. I'm just mentioning it now because this other little piece of information that I know is quite interesting. The person that found me on LinkedIn, which he now admits was him, the Brent that found me, has a certain surname. Brent, as in ExPatriarch, went on a podcast recently with individuals who I contacted, and they gave me his full name. Now, unfortunately, the name that they gave me is not the same name that comes up on LinkedIn and who found me. And yet it's his picture and his first front name. So he's walking around this life like with probably multiple different accounts, definitely different names. And you think you're safe to be around women. And you think that you're safe to speak for women's rights. No. And the other little thing that you probably aren't aware of, I have done a video on it before, but he thinks it's perfectly okay to contact your violent narcissistic exes to get their side of the story. He even supports people who do this and people who say, hey, I contact your narcissistic, abusive ex, and they were pretty chill, so you must be the problem. It's my understanding of the feminist movement that part of their initiative and part of their mission is to keep women safe. And that cannot happen when it's fronted by an individual such as ExPatriarch. And it can't happen when he uses pseudo-psychological science to prove points for his audience, an audience which he has either paid for or an audience that holds him up as an intellectual, when frankly, he's only coming at this with an agenda that soothes his ego. And let me be very clear. The reason why he'd said that I platformed a dangerous terrorist in the first place was because I did a podcast with individuals who said that he seems the type of male feminist who has pathological, dangerous behaviors. and look what's happening now. He wanted to silence me because they saw the truth, and now the truth is coming out.